The giant in the family entertainment world. What a treat. Fred Penner is here tonight. Here's him doing his thing.
Are you ready? The cat came back the very next day. The cat came back. They thought he was a goner, but the cat came back. He just couldn't stay away. Give me a nice meow. Here, go. Meow. Good.
Fred Penner!
Yeah, the cat came back the very next day. The cat came back. They thought he was a goner, but the cat came back. He just couldn't stay away.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming back.
My pleasure.
Fred Penner with his guitar, no less. No, real pleasure to have you. The best thing about The Cat Came Back, that song, was it actually taught kids not to give up. Because I also thought he was a goner.
You didn't?
But he couldn't stay away. Maybe it was the love that they had for us.
Cats are like that. I think, philosophically, I think that cats do identify with that song because children are invincible. Mm-hmm. They feel that they're invincible. I mean, just discovering the world and learning and moving on. And the cat is potentially invincible.
What do you think of this run that you've been on?
It's not, when you begin a trip like this, you never know where it's going to go. You know, I don't think any performer says, you know, when you start, you're going to have a TV series. Did you ever think you were going to have a TV series?
No,
when you began?
I wake up in the morning and I go, I don't know how long this is going to go. Maybe they'll take it away from me.
Well, exactly. So that's the way life has gone for me, is things began because I felt a need, a desire to explore the musical world and to get out. My sister and my father were the impetus for that. They passed away within a year of each other and gave me the mortality to check.
But your sister was young, right? She was 12?
Yeah, yeah.
And this is a part of your story, which I don't think a lot of people may not know, but your sister lived with Down syndrome?
She was a Down syndrome child, yeah.
And so you brought her smiles.
She brought me probably more than I brought her, because, I mean, anybody who knows the world of the Down syndrome child or any special needs child, they get into music on a level that is deeper than you could possibly imagine. So as a teenager, watching her literally become absorbed into sound, and it carried her away to the point of tears, and I thought, my goodness, is that what music is all about? And so I remembered that little benchmark, and then through my life there's been many things like that have said music has value, it's important, it's necessary. It's not the kind of thing that should be cut from the school systems when they need more money, if you know what I mean.
Right. Do you feel like you've got to carry the torch of Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger? Because when they were banned from playing to adults, Pete, he was allowed to play to kids.
Right.
So he created little subversives all the time.
There you are.
Is that what you're doing?
Partly. I do feel I have a position in this world now, and certainly seeing the generation who grew up with me. I mean, looking at your audience, there's a few smiles there, and I know that's from the Fred Penner's Place era. But playing the university circuit now and seeing that energy coming from the kids, they're just so pumped.
What's the relationship like with those kids? A lot of them you're bringing back from their memories when they were young. I'm sure some of the teachers love it too, right?
They do. I think part of it is primal therapy, rediscovering youthful exuberance, and I think, in a way, again, between you and me, I think I may be part of their DNA.
Yeah.
Because I was there during the formative years.
Yeah. When you're playing to those kids, have you figured out a general age where there's a switch, where that goes away?
It's waves. It always goes through waves. I mean, it's really, really keen in the beginning, but then somewhere around 8, 9, 10, they're just preparing for puberty, and then the insanity of those 5, 6 years happens, and then they come through that, and then they want to reconnect with what they had, because they realize that there was value being a child. There was an importance of being young and the world of discovery that you forget about along the way.
I follow you on Twitter and Rafi. You guys lay it on. Like Twitter is a place.
We hit it in the 70s, and that's when the generation, that's when the post-war, the boomers, were demanding that they have quality stuff for their children. And that's when Sesame Street evolved in the States and in Canada. That's where Robert Munch and Rafi and Charles Bram and myself, we brought in, I think, a quality to the package.
Speaking of the 70s, I mean, and those counterculture movement.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our television program.
Oh, yeah.
children's programming.
You're pulling a Brian Linehan on me here, aren't you?
Dude, that's your band.
I've been looking for good footage of Cornstalk for years.
Hey, Cornstalk was not a festival for corn. That's what Chipotle's for. No, right. that was your band, right? I mean,
that was Al Simmons, Dear Al, and you should have him on at some point. But Al and I and Bob King and Mike Klim, we were a comedy show band for 4 years, and we traveled across the country, and we did this insane, spontaneous, theatrical, musical thing.
Do you ever have those moments where you're just, I mean, I know you do, everybody has those, you're having a terrible day. Do you ever tell the kids, sorry, this show sucks? Do you ever have like that moment?
No.
Okay, how's that possible?
There is a question. I trust myself. I feel that I have a responsibility in this world, and any negativity that I may feel, I have no not just desire, but I can't show that to people because that's not part of what I want to communicate.
When you say people want to go back to that time, you have steps that adults can take just to get, turn that frown upside down. That really key moment in those days. Do you have steps that you think?
It starts with breathing. It's take a moment. The whole idea of Fred Penner's place of crawling through that log came from a story, back when I was growing up in Hull, Quebec, in the 50s. My dad was in the army. We lived in Hull, and there was a bush in the backyard where I would crawl, and it was my little enclave. It was my little quiet, protected place. And I think because of the insanity and the technology and answer me back immediately, you have no time to digest a thought or a question or a feeling. You want immediate, tell me. Yeah. So do you want to get back there? Find that corner in your house, in your room, in your yard, where you can be completely alone and comfortable and just chill, just breathe for a moment.
Stick around, more with Fred Penner right after this.
All right, coming up, we'll hit Fred with the burning question everyone wants to know, cats or dogs. Plus, everyone's favorite warrior princess, Mary Walsh, on the panel.
We're talking about anger management and how to resolve our anger. I like to resolve my anger the same way that Shakespeare does. Everybody dies.
Welcome back. We're hanging out here with Fred Penner. All right, it's anthropology time.
All right, anthropology.
You ready?
Oh, no, I hate these things.
Listen, dude, you'll be fine.
Go ahead.
You're going for a walk in the woods.
All right.
There's a cabin.
Cabin.
On fire.
On fire, okay.
There are two things in that cabin. One dog, one cat. You only have time to save one.
Freddie's choice. Is this a Freddie's choice thing?
Choice.
Are you kidding?
Choose wisely, Penner.
Oh, mother. Well, it's got to be the dog, because the cat will survive everything.
What's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to you?
It was in Edmonton, and I was just at the end of a performance, and I was doing the cat came back and getting quieter and quieter, and the follow spot was doing an irising down, so it was just my head, and just before it went zip, a little voice up in the balcony said, "Happy Mother's Day, Fred Penner."
That's kind of beautiful.
It was just, my heart just stopped. I thought, this kid, I'm taking him on tour with me.
When you play in a pub or on this university tour, college tour, how many dudes offer to smoke you up outside?
I probably had about a dozen offers on the trip.
Follow-up question. How many times have you said yes? No. Dude, you're a folk singer. You're a folk singer.
I played the Pit Pub at UBC. Of course. And there were like 350 kids, in the audience. And this one kid comes up, and towards I was just starting the song. He walks up and he's got a glass of beer, and he passes it to me, and everybody else in the place suddenly got very quiet. And is Penner going to actually drink a beer? And I reached out and I took the beer, and they were watching. You know, I could feel their eyes, you know, concentrating on it. And I took the beer up to my mouth, and I let the foam touch my upper lip and said, "Oh, that's enough." And I put it down.
Well played. True story, true or false? You and Rafi once exchanged gunfire outside a nightclub in Montreal.
Metaphorically true.
The show is again. I want to know more about this. I've got Rafi coming.
I'm just trying to find clever answers to these great questions.
Do you guys ever compare notes? The Beatles and the Stones used to call each other. Did Rafi and Penner ever have that kind of thing?
Once in a while. He was in Winnipeg doing a conference a few months ago, and we did have a chat, sat down coffee, and then compared where life has taken us. And it's really, I mean, he's an amazing human being, and what he's done. I mean, he really started the ball rolling for the whole industry. He's a wonderful man, a great songwriter. Baby Beluga, my goodness, are you kidding?
What a pleasure to see him. The Cat Came Back, February 28th to March 16th, Young People's Theatre in Toronto. Has got the CD as well. Where in the world? It's available on fredpenner.com. Fred Penner, everyone! We'll be right back.